What's up?
Asteroids.
No, they're not yet. Give it a few months.
Yeah.
Chuck, you get really worked up about that, buddy.
I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. But I don't trust our government to tell us what's really going on.
The dance commander will tell you.
Next episode.
Yeah. Well, I hope he would, because every time he says he will, but every time I find out about this stuff, it's on Facebook. It's not him.
Because you have nothing to worry about when you find out about it on Facebook.
Well, I hear it's only the size of like a washing machine, so we're
if you find out from Matt, it's probably something's going to fuck us up.
We won't ever find out from Matt. He'll just disappear. Find out he's in a bunker somewhere.
It's possible.
Or he's on a space shuttle heading out of Earth to wherever they're going to relocate
it's coming
on
in?
the moon. Yeah.
I don't think he has that kind of clearance.
No way.
Yeah. Well, you don't have a merchandise clearance, so apparently he must not have the clearance to get out of here, but it gets bad. So anyway,
I got some news, and I can't save it for the end of the show.
Yeah, no, this is important. This is important news.
I got my Severin email.
I know.
Did you?
It shipped 3 days ago.
Man.
In fact,
oh my
Shut
goodness.
the fuck up, Chuck.
You've already got this. I don't have the other one here, but I've got them.
Hey, where are your slipcases?
I don't need slipcases.
You liar.
When they're free, I don't need slipcases.
Should be here Monday, so.
Where is it at right now, as you're recording?
As we're recording.
Because mine had a habit of, my usual thing lately has this habit of being made into a sticker, like a printing label, and then suddenly it doesn't move for about 4 days.
That's the way things go.
It went from Arizona to Los Angeles. It departed Los Angeles.
Well, it's going to be in Los Angeles a little while, because it seems like things coming from LA take a little bit longer these days.
It's in transit, arriving on time, so.
That's what they said about mine, then it came a day late. Anyway.
Well, my stuff came a day late as well. You know, I find it kind of humorous that they sent the press copies out the same time that they sent out the bought copies of.
Well, they had to get restocked for the press copies.
Probably.
Yeah. And I think like there was a hold up on Fulci though for everybody, wasn't there?
Yeah, Fulci for fake shipped it later.
I watched it. It's interesting for what it is. I mean, half movie, half documentary type thing.
Eli watched it the other day and told me it was pretty good. Said focuses, more on him, less on his films.
Yeah, but
I'm okay with that.
Well, there's an extra on the Enigma disc. I think it's the Enigma disc. Whichever one comes first, maybe it's Enigma. There's an extra on the disc that talks about his later movies, which is kind of cool. So I enjoyed that. I may have the first ever Arrow 4K movies headed my way as we speak.
Flash Gordon?
Mm-hmm.
Pitch Black.
Maybe. Unless they sent me the Blu-ray versions, but I think I definitely got a package coming from that department, so it may be them, it may not.
Like Pitch Black isn't supposed to come out until next week, I think, and mine shipped today.
Now,
from Amazon.
No that, right?
Not supposed to be.
Sorry.
Okay.
No.
The press copy I saw somebody got didn't have one. Flash Gordon did though.
Yeah, Flash still supposed to have a slip.
Yeah.
Because as we all know, though, that's what matters most about movies right now is slip
covers. No, it ain't just a slip cover with Flash Gordon. It looked like it's kind of like that Beyond the Door with like the box type deal.
Yeah, it looks like it slides in from the side.
Which is like the first real cool 4K I've seen since like Apocalypse Now, because 4K has just kind of been basic for the most part, but it's good to see some actual special editions in 4Ks rather than just being 4K.
Yeah, my Pitch Black, New York Ripper, and House by the Cemetery should all show up tomorrow.
Yeah, House by the Cemetery and New York Ripper looks really good. I didn't expect it. It's best I've ever seen House by the Cemetery look. I'm used to that thing looking pretty dingy. At least it was on the OD.
I still haven't watched my Maniac Blu-ray, 4K, just for the simple fact that Joe Bob showed it like 2 months ago.
Yeah, I mean it looks good, but it don't look as good as these, obviously.
Zombie looked awesome.
It did. I put House by the Cemetery up there with it. Like it looks that good. Of course, New York Ripper looks good. Of course, there's a lot of outside stuff in New York Ripper. So
when we have our off week from recording, I'll probably plow through all those.
Mm-hmm. I haven't really I even thought Evil Dead 2 looked good on 4K, but you said you didn't think it looked good. But
I didn't. I thought it looked grainy as shit.
Well, I mean, it's probably Part 1 or part 2? Part 2?
2.
Yeah, I thought 1 looked a little weird, but 2 looked okay to me. Of course, look the source and the time, though,
Yeah.
But then again, I say that, and then House by Cemetery looks pristine, right? So how does that happen?
Yeah, but you got to think there's probably more money behind House by the Cemetery in production than there was on Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2.
You may be right.
Matter of fact, I'm positive there was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, this 4K stuff, it seems like it's catching on, I guess.
Hopefully.
Now it's time for Scream Factory to release all their stuff on 4K.
Stop it. They'll get there eventually. They got to finish releasing everything on Steelbook first.
Yeah. Okay. So what movie are we doing today?
So, kicking off a little run here of 2020 films, just because I want to get some 2020 shit out there and not fucking talk about the host. Host, not the host. But
so instead, you're going to talk about
random acts of violence, and apparently it's getting mixed reviews.
When do we get the Shudder sponsorship? So I want to know.
Well, in order for us to get the Shudder sponsorship, we all have to post the exact same wording of stuff over and over again on their own website with reviews.
Gotta be on the
minor
take,
changes. Oh, I didn't say they were on the take.
And you, Chuck, you got to get on their press list first.
Shudder have a press list?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure in that
they do.
I'm pretty sure in that episode you said you're not on their press list.
Well,
I'm sure they have a press list because every month someone releases to all the websites. Hey, here's what Shudder's putting out next month.
I get all their burn on demand stuff, which you can't see that obviously. But
it's not good enough,
Shudder,
buddy.
Shudder movies. Satan's Slaves, and 00 megahertz, whatever that is. 010 megahertz.
That was earlier this year. Both of those were.
Yeah. Well, I like Shudder though. I ain't gonna act like I don't like Shudder. I like Shudder. I just didn't think Host was the greatest movie of all time.
I like Shudder. I just don't like everybody's tendency to just immediately rate half the stuff they release as originals high. But that's just me.
We better appreciate it while we got it, because you remember, was it Fear.net that went away to the wayside back in the day?
I'm an old school person in that regard. I still have my VHS copy of recordings of Monsters HD.
Oh, wow.
I never had either of those.
The only way you could ever have Monsters HD is if you had Dish Network or lived in New Jersey, because it was technically run by Optimum/Cablevision, and New Jersey is home of Cablevision. So very localized, awesome Monsters HD horror channel. But anyway.
Does Jersey have a channel that just plays the Toxic Avenger and loop all the time?
No, it look up that doesn't have that kind of money.
Oh, yeah. Well, Kevin Smith, you have Clerks playing in loop all the time.
Kevin Smith doesn't care enough to do that.
Okay.
He cared enough to open a comic book store in Red Bank. That's about all you get out of him.
All right.
And with that, random acts of violence.
Random acts of violence. I didn't know that this was even going to be on Shudder or a Shudder original, or I guess it's a Shudder exclusive.
Shudder exclusive.
It's not a Shudder original, but I saw the trailer for it a few months ago. And I was like, oh, I'll watch that because it stars and is directed by Jay Baruchel. And I think
Isn't someone from Letterkenny also in
it? Yes, actually, in the flashbacks, the mom is whatever her real name is. She's Rosie on Letterkenny, and Jay's on Letterkenny in 2 episodes. He's a Trump-supporting Canadian, and they call him Hard Right Jay.
It's a Shudder original, for the record.
It is.
According to their app, it's a Shudder original. As I said before, your interpretation of the word original there may vary.
What else is the director done?
Oh, Jay Baruchel. He's mostly done a lot of acting. He's heavily known for comedies. This is the end? This is the end. Horror-wise, I reviewed something he did once back when Magnet was in their kind of prime. It was called Good Neighbors.
Yeah.
I didn't know he directed that.
He didn't direct it. He acted it.
He
acted it.
I know most
of the
cast is at least got some pretty famous movies out there.
In fact, he's only got like 5 things on his directorial list, and this is probably the biggest one.
Goon 2.
Oh yeah, Goon 2. Right, that's the other thing. Yeah, Goon 2.
Yeah.
Which wasn't bad. Not as good as the first one. So
I've never seen
you should watch Goon. It's good.
Also from when Magnet was doing its thing.
Is Magnet dead now?
Magnet's not dead, but their stuff never seems to get that much push now anymore.
They don't release a whole lot of horror anymore, do they?
I mean, they might, but that's what I say. There's no hype. I don't know why.
I don't think they put out much.
It all goes to Shudder and other such services.
I know when they went out because I received boxes upon boxes of The Host on DVD, and then it was it Stage Fright was by them?
Stage Fright was Magnet.
Yeah, which that's at the Dollar Tree right now. So there's where Magnet has went.
That's where I got Stakeland a couple years ago on DVD.
Dollar Tree, you got a bunch of Wild Eye movies right now.
Got any Morbids?
I wish. They could do something with all the extra copies, right?
If they did, we already know what would happen.
Chuck's like, I'd buy them all myself and resell them.
Well, no, what you would do is you would buy them at the Dollar Tree, then he'd tell him, give me the table. He'd sit there and he'd just sign them for $20 each.
I would be thrilled if it was at the Dollar Tree, to be honest with you.
I know you would.
You know, I'd be directing people there. Hey, go Dollar Tree, which I would. It's hard to get. Look on eBay. It's not even on eBay. So, as we were saying though about random.
As there would be an eBay market for it.
I don't know. Last one was on sale was from Canada. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm big in Canada.
How often do you check?
Oh, bi-monthly at least. But as we get back on track, I just want to say, this movie, the leading guy, which I don't know, I don't have any notes in front of me. So he's been on Grey's Anatomy for the past 10 years. So I was a little surprised to see him in a movie like this. But he was in the remake of Jacob's Ladder. So there's that. Jordan Brewster, is that what her name is?
Jordana Brewster.
Jordana Brewster. I think
Are you saying the lead or the lead actress you're talking about?
I'm just talking about the main chick.
Okay, yeah, you're
lead actress.
Just yeah, I just wanted to make sure. You seem to kind of shift gears for a second there. Go ahead.
But I'm just talking about like the names in this movie are like people that you actually see and stuff. Like you've seen them and stuff, even if you ain't seen them in a while. Like, and she's got her finger in horror stuff. Wasn't she in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning or something like that?
The Faculty.
Yeah, so she's been in a lot of stuff.
She was in Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning. Yeah.
Looks really good for the age of 40 too, by the way.
Yes, realistic compared to having watched the mock train last week.
Yeah.
Of course, everybody's going to know her from the Fast and the Furious series.
Oh,
that too.
Is she still around with CGI Paul Walker?
He wasn't in the last one.
Yeah, they got away with that after one movie. They only did that one movie.
I think he's supposed to be in the new one. And then, like, I see the skinny guy, like the white guy that's his friend. He's like
the director.
That's Jay Baruchel.
I started asking you if that was the director because when you said he was in This at the End, I've seen that guy in This at the End.
Yep.
So that makes sense. And then the other one that played like his girlfriend or friend, whoever it is, like she seemed like she was familiar too from somewhere.
She seemed like she was familiar, but her credentials, nothing popped out at me.
She looks like somebody else. I just don't know who that somebody else is. I can't place it. But nonetheless, like I said, it's a small cast, but it's people that you've probably seen somewhere. So that's good. I would say. And I like the plot. I'll let you describe it, but I have some issues with it.
Well, yeah. There's definitely some issues, and some of them I'm not going to get into because it might be a spoiler. But our main character's name is our main character's name is Todd, and he's actually, I believe, from the United States, lives in Canada. He has a comic book out called Slasher Man, and it is, it's actually based off the real life I-90 killer, the Randall Woodfield.
Something like that.
That's about right.
Randall Woodfield, I think, was the I-90 killer. Got to go back to my macabre serial killer songs. So
they do have a niche, though.
They do.
Dahmer's a great album, but
yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Anyway,
so he is like, his comic book, it makes him. He doesn't look famous. He doesn't act famous. He doesn't look like he has money. But his comics would, kind of tell you otherwise. And it seems as if that they're self-released as well, because his Ezra, Jay's character, is his agent, and they're best friends to begin with. Kathy's his girlfriend, and she's actually working on a book about the actual I-90 killers' victims. But they are tracing their roots back, having a
road trip.
A road trip down I-90 from Canada into America, into the town that he's actually from, that he doesn't remember much of. But he's trying to get the final book. He's trying to get the final story out. He's got writer's block, whatever you want to call it. He can't figure it out. So they go on this to try and, publicity, and it seems like they've got something worked out with some low-budget hotels. And then they're going to a comic book signing. And shit happens along the way. They do radio interviews, and they're contacting people, siblings of the I-90 killers victims, so Kathy can do her thing and try to work on this book, but he is still just trying to find his ending. And they come in contact with some people that don't like him, and some people that like him far too much. Some of the comic book fans that he meets, that he's signing for, kind of remind me of some of the real strange individuals that show up to horror cons.
And I'll talk about that later, my thoughts on that, because that's one of the things I think about this movie is how it's portraying a certain thing. Yeah.
Right. But essentially, that's the plot. Some of the more gruesome murders from his comics are happening along his route, and they're kind of stuck in the center of it.
Yep. As a side point, just to say, not that you would recognize her from, but there is one other thing that his assistant, the actress, the assistant, is known for in the horror genre. She plays Corbett in Saw 3.
Wow.
And you don't know that off the top of the head, but Corbett is the daughter who is revealed to be hidden away. That's why I was checking, because I saw it pop up on her filmography. So she pops up in 3, 4, 5, and 6 somewhere as the daughter, as a young child, and now she's in this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think everybody. I feel personally that all the cast sleptwalked through the performance, besides maybe the killer. I thought everybody else I felt like they was phoned it in. Now, I've seen the lead. I used to be a big fan of Grey's Anatomy, okay? I watched it a lot. And I've seen this guy act, okay? This didn't seem like he cared too much, to me personally.
Which heartthrob doctor was your favorite?
Was fine.
What was that?
Nothing.
Which heartthrob doctor was your favorite? Okay.
McDreamy, of course.
That's why was coming. You knew that was coming.
I quit watching when they killed him off, too, so, old Patrick Stewart? I don't know Patrick Stewart.
Dempsey.
What's his name?
Dempsey.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. Should have never done that. Never done that.
Never seen an episode.
Never seen an episode either. I just know trivia.
Good stuff. Or it was for the first 10 years, anyway.
I didn't hate the acting. My thing, I told my wife afterwards, so the thing I have about this movie is the acting's fine. The writing sometimes kind of throws me for a loop, though.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're acting to the bad writing, it kind of can come across that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the killer is obviously recreating scenes that's been in the comic books. And
that's fine. Yeah.
He's calling in, he's giving them numbers, and they finally figure out, he's talking about issues, and that's what's going to happen next. Some of that stuff's a little bit too convenient, maybe. Convenient.
So about that, that's kind of one of the things I'm getting at is, how long does it take him to figure that out? He's a comic book writer. Why the hell does he think the first thing he thinks?
Well, he just Googles the numbers, and that's the first thing that pops up.
Right, but still, even then, you're a comic book writer. You're working a field where that's how the number works. You okay? You got noise all of a sudden.
Oh, there's a window right to my side here, and there's I don't know if these will pick it up, but there's a very noisy fucking cricket out there.
I
like the blood. That's I think the blood and the killer, himself at times, the main thing I liked about it. Everything else I was a little iffy on. I think the ending is a mess, which I know we're jumping ahead on that, but I feel like the ending is a little bit of a mess, personally. Unless I'm missing something, you know.
I really like the killer because you can tell he was doing this almost on a whim. Like it seems like last minute he decided to do it, because when he went for his first kill, it's like he was pacing back and forth and like hitting himself like, you can do this, you can do this. Like he was very nervous and he had to fucking psych himself up for it. And then he just finally went like, oh, balls in on it, and it was gruesome. Like it's one of the most violent things I've seen in a long time.
One of the things everybody comes out about this movie is it is incredibly violent. It's incredibly gory. I didn't, apart from the fact that this is DP is Karim Hussein, who did that segment in the theater Bazaar with the person like doing drugs in the alleyway. So she has a style, and in this movie it works. So it's kind of edited and has like these animated cut-in segments that look kind of like a comic book. But beyond that stuff, the majority of it is practical, is what I was getting at. It's brutal and practical effects, which is far too far between now.
But it seems like once everything, because it doesn't take too long for the movie to get up and start going. I don't know what the exact runtime on this is, but once
about
everything, because it doesn't seem like an hour and a half in the slightest, because it's like once everything happens, it's just like boom, 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 little drawn out towards the end, and boom, there's your ending. But
I was thinking about that with this and what we're going to review next. Yeah,
it kind of just flew by.
I mean,
it's paced well.
It's paced well, and also like they know what they want to show you and want to tell you, and where they want everything to be at certain times. So like while I can complain about that bit of stupidity, at the same time, it's a slasher movie. It's not to say that no slasher movie ever made has smart characters or anything like that. But if you sit there and nitpick a slasher movie to death and say, why did you think this way? Why did you do that way? As if it's a deal breaker, you're going to hate every slasher movie.
Right.
It's a thing that needed mentioning, but at the same time, like it fits the genre in essence.
Yeah. So what about that ending? I don't want to get into it because I don't want to spoil anything.
Well, all I'm going to say is,
like
as it's presented, I found a way it made sense.
Okay.
As it's presented, I found a way it could make sense. But that being said, I do want to say, I think I could have done a better ending. And what I mean by that, because this is not a spoiler, because all I'm going to say is the movie sets up this thing throughout the first third to a half of the movie where like everybody and their mother is telling him, how dare you do this? It's just like you killed them. He's on this radio show and he thinks he's there to talk to a fan, but the guy's really just there to literally just roast him and, just get listened. Also roast him and claim like, how dare you do this shit with these victims?
Right.
His wife and or girlfriend is, saying she's writing her book about the victims, and he's talking about how this guy is calling him, and she's like, how dare you make it about yourself? Never talks about the victims. One of the people gets killed. They pull them all into the cops, and the cop is like, your alibi checks out, but it's like you didn't. It's like you did it anyway.
Right.
And I told my wife,
you're innocent, but it's still all your fault.
I told my wife, I said, if they'd gone full bore on that, and I can tell you what I mean by this off air, if they'd gone full bore on that angle in a particular way, much better ending than what it is. But as it is, yeah, it's weird. On the face, it's a little confusing. I came up with an explanation for it that makes sense, but I'm not going to lie, it's still weak.
I don't think I'll ever watch this movie again. Okay.
I don't disagree with that.
Like, I like the gore, but
I'll probably watch it again. Yeah. It'll be a while.
It didn't do nothing for me. I expect maybe my hopes were too high, because this is the almighty Shudder originals here, and people hype it out the frame. So I don't know. I went into it. I expected maybe a little more slasher and less of everything else. Because
some people complain that there were too few victims.
Yeah. So
some people said that. I don't necessarily agree with that.
Yeah, I mean there was.
As it is, I've seen it.
Low body count.
Yeah.
That being said, that's not a bad thing. I didn't have a problem with the body count. No, I mean, like, I don't necessarily say I would never watch it again, but like, it's one of those things, where they say it does what it says on the tin. Basically, it's a slasher movie about a guy trying to figure out what's going on with this killer who's mimicking his comic. Does what it says on the tin. It does it fine, does it well, doesn't blow you out the water, and isn't like crazy, earth-shatteringly great. It's fine.
Like, the movie really wasn't as violent as I thought it was going to be.
The title does that to you.
Well, even the first kill is by far the most horrific thing that happens in this movie.
It's the longest one, too.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
some
it's
of the other ones
the
are
most
pulled
in
back
detail. Like, even some of the ones where we have people that we care about, they're nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
It just went on and showed like absolutely everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then half the other stuff was on screen yet off screen at the same time.
I'll also say I don't think the ending's bad, but I will say it is paced well, but you mentioned it's a little long in some points. That whole idea of a 3-act structure, about the last third of it is one thing, basically. Just drawn out over that whole 30-minute span. Probably could have cut that back a bit, because it kind of just feels like you've got that this is what's going on, and it kind of lingers too much on that because of it. Yeah, anything, Chuck?
No, I mean, I pretty well said what I thought about it, which I feel like I missed something on the ending, because the ending just seemed a little weird to me. Obviously I missed something, I guess, but
no, you're not the only one.
Yeah, I mean, I said, I like the gore, and I'm usually a big fan of most of the cast and what they do, but I just didn't see nothing really that stood out to me in this. It's like a road trip slasher movie with a low body count, basically. I do like the comic book aspect of it, but all in all, I'd only be, I'd give it a 2 out of 5. So they let me down. That's 2 for gore, by the way.
2 for gore and nothing else.
Yeah.
So besides what I mentioned about that, there's also, you mentioned the scene where they're doing the signing and the guy comes up with like the model and the way people are reacting in real life. I feel like on some level it feels like it should have more to say also about that, and it feeds into what I was saying about what I think I could make a better ending out of it from where he starts the movie. But as it stands, it's fine. It does what it set out to do. It's above average. I mean, it's not like I felt like I wasted my time watching it. I'm trying to think of them between 2 scores. 3. It's a tough call for me, but I would normally I go 3, 3.5 of them on a good day, but 3.
I give it a 3. I like the idea of it, and I like the pacing. It did all happen quite quickly. Based on what it is, I would have liked a little bit more from the kills. Because, like I said, other than the first one, everything else for the almost 80% of everything else is off screen or you're seeing at a distance. Yeah. But the first one, the first group of people, awesome. The whole backstory kind of threw me for a loop just a little bit, because you don't know if he actually knows what happened this entire time, or if driving down Interstate 90 is just bringing it all back to him.
Yeah, like I said, we'll talk after the episode. I have an explanation for it. It's weird, but I have an explanation for it.
And after 30 years, if that house is still standing and no one's been in it since,
yeah,
I don't think that's probably the least realistic thing in this entire movie.
Yeah.
Wow. Get a little trippy there at the end.
A little bit. I would give it a 3. I think the absolute best I can do for it is a 3. I wanted more out of it, and I enjoyed it, but at the same time, I was let down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an average film.
Yep.
And I think, in all honesty, like acting wise, Chuck, you said everybody seemed phoned in, but the killer was excellent. I think the girl that played Aurora, the assistant, I thought she was great.
Yeah.
I thought she did better than the other 3. Especially when she was they were at the gas station and she was doing her little sketch and she like started like panicking and freaking out. I mean, that was great.
That's like
that was probably the best bit of acting in the entire film.
Sure, I don't hate the acting. I just am not sure whether to pin the acting on the acting or the writing.
Maybe they should rethought her screen time.
Did he write this as well?
I don't think so. I can check that. I was thinking about that earlier. I don't remember him. He may have had like a part in the writing of it, but I don't think he actually wrote it. I can check real quick.
I was trying to pull it up too.
It's a race. Live-ish.
He did the screenplay.
Okay.
So basically, almost
him,
the same
him
thing.
And him and someone else did the screenplay, and then 2 other people did the comic.
Yeah. So, and the other person who did the screenplay is the person who was a producer and writer on Goon, Last of the Sport. He did the screenplay for Goon 2. He was a producer an associate producer on Goon and a co-producer of Goon 2.
Most time when someone does a screenplay, it's like there's a big bunch of ideas someone else has, so this person's got the job to actually put it on a script form. So he probably had a lot of say with it. So, but like I said,
the skeleton's good. The skeleton there is fine. It needs more meat, basically.
At least it's a new movie for the new year, right? Well, it ain't New Year anymore, obviously.
That's the excuse people give the hosts, sir.
Yeah, right. Yep.
When there were plenty of new movies out before The Host.
In a world where the theaters are playing Jurassic Park and Jaws, it's good to have something.
You could do worse with an hour and a half of your time.
You could.
You do a lot worse.
Yeah. That is Random Acts of Violence.
On Shudder.
Yes.
They have a 30-day trial if anybody wants to try it, which that's always go sign up for your trial. Then after 30 days, make another address and do it again.
I was going to say, what trial or how many trials have you had so far, Chuck?
Me and a friend share an account. I don't know if I said it publicly. Cut that. I have a bunch of free 30-day trials.
Is that better or worse? If you do sign up, it's a good idea to sign up at this point because they're doing what they're calling, 61 days of Halloween. And so they're basically going to have some Vincent Price stuff they're going to start putting up. They're going to do another round of their curator's choice thing where they tell you a bunch of movies you should watch on Shudder based on certain genres. Joe Bob's got another Halloween thing coming up. Other such things like that.
Is it bad that I'll be happy when we get to the Joe Bob episodes that actually don't show the movie, that just show Joe Bob's parts? Because
it depends on the movie.
Like most times, if I watch Joe Bob, I've seen the movie 100 times. Of course, like with like that Tetsuo Iron Man stuff, it's definitely different. But when it goes to something like Hills Have Eyes, I've seen 1,000,000 times and have. I just want the Joe Bob segments,
I could have done that on this last one with
Victor Crowley.
Well, that and Slumber Party Massacre 2.
Party 2.
Because Morgan and I had just randomly watched. That was one of her favorite horror movies growing up, and we just randomly watched it about a month ago. And I was on my way home from work, and she had turned it on, and I know somebody in the group, you or Matt, had texted me, "Oh, Slumber Party Massacre 2," and then my wife, she's like, "Oh, we just fucking watched this," and I'm like, "Oh boy."
Yeah. I mean, one of my only real issues I have with the show, beyond the obvious things I've talked about with how I feel about how it gets presented, is like this past season they did Scare Package, Victor Crowley, and other ones they've done, Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, Deathgasm. That's fine. I get that. Instead of doing Hills Have Eyes, Deep Red, not that there's anything wrong with Deep Red. I'm more just saying I love Deep Red. I'm just saying doing it as part of this. Yeah, you know I do. I'm not him. Instead of those, maybe go back to when you were in the first season doing things like Demon Wind. You know, the random stuff that nobody really has seen, or at least fewer people. Blood Rage, when he did the Thanksgiving thing. Blood Rage is random as shit to be doing in this. You know, if you kind of balance it a little more in terms of doing that, might be a little bit.
You know what he should have done for this summer thing he just did, summer camp, whatever the fuck? He should have done Ice Cream Man.
Yes, he should have.
Yeah. Maybe you should be a writer for the show, or a producer for the show. Joe Bob, why don't you do Ice Cream Man? Because obviously they got all the Vinegar Syndrome stuff, right?
They don't have all the Vinegar Syndrome stuff. They can get Vinegar Syndrome stuff when they need it. They just got Mausoleum again, I think, or Mortuary. I think I'm Mortuary probably. But they got something else.
They got
Mortuary. Vinegar
Mortuary.
Syndrome title back in again.
Yeah.
Mortuary was a Scorpion title, but there was something else they just got in that was a Vinegar Syndrome thing.
He could do Tammy and the T-Rex as well.
That would make sense. They have Tammy and the T-Rex, yes.
And that would be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. That in fact, literally doing Vinegar Syndrome titles and just doing them would make sense. He did Hell Comes to Frogtown, didn't he?
Yes.
This past season. Yeah. Like that kind of thing. Not saying that Hell Comes to Frogtown is really unknown, but at least it's something most people didn't watch recently. You know?
Well, and it's definitely not on the tip of people's tongues when you have a conversation about horror with somebody. You're going to talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You're going to talk about all these fucking slasher films, half the movies that he's already done, but you're not going to talk about Tetsuya the Iron Man.
Yeah.
Nope.
Which is not good. It's fucking.
Gemini is better. I watched it recently. That's by the same director.
Yeah, it's Mono Macabre put it out.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But now, Joe Bob, I like to hear his opinion on some like more obscure stuff. I mean, he's never done like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4, has he? That'd be
That's
nice.
the other thing. Yeah, like do Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one thing. Why aren't you going to do Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4? Exactly.
Because I like to hear what he has to say about it.
I'd like to hear what he has to say about 2, 3, and 4.
The same kind of thought process as he did Hellraiser.
Didn't he do 2 on TNT though back in the day?
Back in the day, but he hasn't done it again. And then with Hellraiser, same thing. He's done Hellraiser. Just at random, I'm pulling out of my head here. Do you want to know what he thinks about Hellraiser Inferno? I mean, just a random Hellraiser sequel that doesn't get talked about very much.
I want him to talk about the fucking, was it Hellraiser 5? It was like the cop drama.
Yeah, we want Deader, I think it is.
Deader, yeah.
You know what? I
or
think
Hellseeker, one or the other.
That might be my favorite one. I don't even know what it's called.
Deader came out at the same time as Hellworld. Like came out like the same time, right?
Hellworld was way later. Hellworld was way later.
It was definitely in the 90s.
Yeah. Well, now, which one come out at the same time as Hellworld? Because they come out, like, these movies come out the same year. And they
Inferno, Hellseeker, and Deader came out all around the same time. Hellworld came out later because it was supposed to be the futuristic, not futuristic, but the techie one, basically.
Well, they basically just took scripts and inserted Pinhead into them.
Which, again, something he could talk about.
That's true.
But anyway.
Yeah. What we got on the news front this week?
It's very, very, very probable that on Friday, as we record this, Arrow is going to announce Cronenberg on some form of release, possibly Blu-ray, possibly 4K, based off of postcards that people have found in releases. Sorry, Crash, I misspoke, yeah. Based off of postcards in their releases and the clue they posted of a car with says killing machine on it or something. Speed kills, that's
Speed kills.
No, that's a pretty good clue, I guess.
Yeah. Blue Underground formally announced they're doing 4K of Den Buried. I don't know if we mentioned that last time, but
we did.
But
I'd be happy to see Den Buried come out.
I mean, it's not bad to do it, but
I've got that DVD that's like all fucking foil coated and shiny, like a slipcase.
I think I have the DVD one too.
I think it's Anchor Bay, maybe.
Oh yeah.
No, it's
Originally was, yeah.
It's Blue Underground on that though, ain't it?
It would be now Blue Underground, but before,
Yeah.
you know that thing where Anchor Bay released everything and then Blue Underground released them all again.
Yeah, I just thought Blue Underground did the fancy one though.
Oh, probably.
Yeah. It might be. I don't know. But that's the one I have. It came out like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Sci-Fi Channel wants you to know that the Tremors franchise isn't dead.
Well, they should be.
So it's got Michael Gross and John Heder this time.
Napoleon.
And they're doing Shriekers on an Island. Tremors.
So my question is, in the last one, it was him and his son, like not his son in real life, but the guy in the show is supposed to be his son. Yeah.
Jamie Kennedy, I believe.
Right?
Yeah. Why isn't he in this one?
I think he got tired. Recast? I think he got tired of doing.
Maybe recast.
Maybe recast.
I mean, not to say he looks exactly like him, but John Heder could pass for a Jamie Kennedy if you really wanted him to.
Wasn't he in the last?
They're both pretty fucking worthless, so.
Like he was in the last 2 Tremor movies, right?
I think so.
Who? Michael Gross, John Heder, Jamie Kennedy?
Jamie Kennedy.
I mean, he's been in some of them. I will say he's not completely worthless. My God, he was in Scream.
Sure.
Yes. Well, I just want to say anybody that's in Napoleon Dynamite is not worthless because Napoleon Dynamite is a great movie.
If you say so.
I have it on Blu-ray.
I have
I had it on DVD.
It took me 3 tries to watch that movie.
Yeah, but when you get it,
fell asleep.
Really get it.
I fell asleep, and then my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, said she would watch something, some horror movie, if I watched Napoleon Dynamite. So I loaded up on coffee because I knew I'd fall asleep, and it was midday, and I sat there and I watched it, and she was like, "So what'd you think?" And I said, "I think it's time to watch this other movie."
Uncle Rico didn't do nothing for you?
I liked him better as a Wolfman.
Back in the day, you used to throw a football quarter mile, over the mountains. Coach put him in, everything been different, I love this movie. I've seen it a million times.
It sounds like 1,000 Corpses, except after I tried to watch it 3 times and slept and finally got through it, I actually liked House of 1,000 Corpses.
I tell you a movie
I like that movie a lot.
It may be the hours that I try to watch it, but I fell asleep 3 times trying to watch Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It's
a very long movie.
Like, I bought the fancy Blu-ray. It's in the box, like The Exorcist.
I have that.
And I've tried to watch it because I heard it was great, and I'd never make it. I've never made it yet.
You've still never finished it?
Never. I haven't got to any of the encounters yet, I don't know.
Kino Lorber is doing all of the things, and that includes, they announced they're doing Play Misty for Me, Clint Eastwood. Also, Amazon Women on the Moon. Not that's horror, but yeah, they're doing that. Also, in that same vein, excuse me, everybody's favorite company that just won't die and still rolls around, Mill Creek, getting ready to do their 20-film Hammer Blu-ray collection.
I like Mill Creek. Boy.
I do too. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that with love because at least, I'll put it this way. I'd rather them exist because some shit that doesn't out gets put out by them. Half the reason that half the Sedera stuff is out is because of them and Echo Bridge. So.
Oh, we should probably mention that Texas Chainsaw Massacre has having to find a new director already.
It wasn't Texas Chainsaw, was it? You said it was something else, I thought.
No, it's
they
Texas
were
Chainsaw.
Rebooting something, I thought, and you said they had already replaced the director.
No, it's Texas Chainsaw. It's the new Texas Chainsaw that Fede Alvarez is producing.
Oh, right, yeah.
And a week in the shooting, they've had creative differences with whoever the director was, and they're already out the door. So they're going to start from scratch.
I nominate Chuck Connery.
I think it'd be better than some options.
I can do it. Although I would want to make a direct sequel to Part 2.
I don't think it's a problem. Yeah.
I might even keep 3 as canon, but 3 or 4, I don't know. Just get rid of it.
MVD's Untold Story Blu-ray is dated for October 13th. It's going to have a documentary on it about Cat 3 films.
I really want to see that.
I want to see the Cat 3 documentary more than
I want to see the documentary more than I do the movie, to be honest with you.
Because it's a story of a time. I looked up a list of them after we talked about them on the Tubi episode, and I own more than I thought of that genre. Actually, some of the movies I didn't realize were that were that genre. I own them already from that time frame.
Your name drop?
Oh, Ebola Syndrome.
Oh, got that.
Cruel Restaurant, I believe I've read, was a Catherine movie. Ebola Syndrome is the big one. That's I picked it up because I heard a review of it, and it's supposed to be pretty over the top and crazily dark.
It's good. It's good. I've seen it. Like I bought it years ago. I bought it at Hastings years ago, the DVD of it, and I'm waiting on the old Blu-ray of it.
Well, that's the thing. If Unearthed does well with this, I wouldn't be surprised if they did a Blu-ray of everything, because they all used to be put up by Discotek.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Discotek's still around, but apparently they've gotten rid of some of the rights. The other news is that John Carpenter extended his hand again, and a check was deposited into it because he is in preliminary talks with Blumhouse to do a reboot of The Thing, because we really, really, really need that right now.
Didn't they already do that?
Yep.
That was a prequel.
And if it had succeeded, it would have been a reboot.
I don't know, man. It's like I ain't gonna complain about it. You know, it ain't doing good to complain about it. And he's got to make money.
I was saying, I'm not complaining about him making money off it. I'm just like, can we just stop?
How does he hand out rights to the remake of The Thing when he remade a movie when you made The Thing?
Because it's so much different.
Right, yeah. It's the same reason he got the rights to do the remake, because they weren't remaking Thing from Another World when they did the prequel. They were going off of his movie.
Yeah, I've seen The Thing from Another World, and it's definitely similar. Different tone, obviously. But it's not bad either, if you guys haven't seen it.
I've got it.
Yeah, I like it. Of course, I love The Thing. That's one of my favorite movies ever done. And I wonder, are they going to ever let us know if, what's his name, survived or not? Are we going to start over, or are we going to reference any of the other movies in it? No.
No.
Well, I mean, and they referenced the old movie in the last reboot with the damn axe in the wall and all that.
Yeah. I mean, like a continuation of what happened to him, right? Like, did anybody, did they make it out off that place? Did they freeze to death? What was the story?
Sometimes the best questions don't get answered.
That's true.
One thing I looked up beforehand and saw an article, I didn't mention it to you guys beforehand, is about that host. The directors / writers or whatever have announced what their next plans are. And I haven't read the article, but I have read that apparently it's The Conjuring in a prison.
Oh, boy.
Over Zoom?
It's a prison, so maybe over conjugal visit calls.
They're going to figure out another app or online device to use for it.
Yeah, that was being reported today.
Must be a Reddit horror movie.
I thought we were already reviewing that next time.
Oh. It could be.
I don't know. I'm over the fucking host. I know that.
So, not to go too deeply into it and drag us down for like 40 minutes talking about it again. In the time since the last episode aired, there's been more and more articles that come out, and the most recent one was in the New York Times, of all things, and talked about how it's summer and you should watch it as part of a list of like 6 things or 7 things they suggested, including things like Lovecraft County.
You posted this in the group chat, right?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Yeah.
And also, I think they also mentioned One Bedroom, 1BR. I am interested in that. That got posted to Netflix, I think, recently.
Well,
that one might be interesting.
I heard it was good, and my local family video had it for sale, and I thought about buying it, but I didn't buy it. But I don't know. Maybe I need to check it out.
Sorry, go ahead.
I've heard good things. So I'm saying I've heard good things about it.
They also put on the list La Llorona, which would be the other Shudder original of this month.
There's literally 3 movies named that.
I know.
Yeah, there's the one that went out in theaters. There's the generic one, and now there's the Shudder one.
Yep.
What's so great about it? I don't even know what the story of this is. I don't even know what the plot
is. It's Mexican, isn't it? Like the myth is Mexican, right?
Yeah. So her children drowned. So she wanders the earth, and she's upset. She mourns for her children, and she takes your children and drowns them.
I guess you don't.
Because if she can't have children, you shouldn't have children. Some shit like that.
I haven't seen a lot of those later Conjuring universe.
Chuck, what do you mean you don't know the story? You have the fucking movie. I watched it on your Vudu.
I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch it?
I got around to watch it.
Weren't you supposed to review it?
I had somebody else review it.
Supposed to.
Somebody else reviewed it for me because I didn't watch it. They did.
So they reviewed it under your name?
I don't think it's even on there. I think it was on the old side. It ain't on this side though, because it's not nuked.
How convenient.
You try to out me for stuff. You trying to out me on everything around here. I don't get to watch everything I get, okay? And I mean, I'll post about it, and I'll put somebody else's,
Chuck, you literally have one job.
I have several.
To be fair, A, he has several jobs, and B, it's not like most people ask him if he's reviewed something a year later.
Yeah, and I have several jobs that don't pay very well. That's an accomplishment.
You start Patreon.
I should. Who's gonna pay for me to do whatever, right?
I don't know how your website traffic is, man.
Yeah, well, it used to be a lot better than it is now. I'll tell you that much. I think
this weekend, Chuck's gonna start an OnlyFans.
Yeah, all right. Everybody else is. I feel like YouTube is like the only thing everybody pays attention to these days.
No, Twitch is the thing everybody switches to these days.
Oh,
but I don't think it'll work well for you.
Hey, speaking of OnlyFans, Bella Thorne made $1 million in like her first week.
I don't know who that is.
And I don't know why, because it's nothing. Bella Thorne's the babysitter, the redheaded chick. Used to be a Disney star, and now she's like, strung out. She's in a lot of stuff, dude. She was in it's Bella Thorne. She's in the last Amityville movie.
You can't say that because there's about 5 million last Amityville movies.
She was in the last official Amityville movie, the one that got delayed. What else? Come on, News Finder. What else is she?
I'm working on it.
I'm looking her up right now. She was in The Duff.
Yep, she was in The Duff.
An Adam Sandler movie I've never heard of.
She was the Swan on The Masked Singer.
And she was in the babysitter. She was part of that crew, the cheerleader.
There's certainly some interesting names on here. That's all I'm going to say about this filmography.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the names that I'm seeing on this filmography, I am not willing to say on the internet. The Babysitter, Amityville: The Awakening, that one. Mm-hmm. Tyler Perry's Boo, A Medea Halloween.
She's obviously not in our demographic, boys.
Well, hey, she played Bella Thorne in Bella Thorne, Bitch, I'm Bella Thorne.
Like that one, for example.
She's had a history of dating some old California rappers that nobody cares about.
Bella Thorne burns so bright.
Bella Thorne's Holiday Shopping Hall with candies.
Well, she was in Assassination Nation.
Mostly ghostly. Have you met my ghoul friend?
$1 million first week, boys.
Bella Thorne and Zendaya, Contagious Love.
There you go.
I mean, what's she doing? Posting porn?
I don't know. I mean, I ain't gonna pay $20 for it, but it's like, I think she got famous off like a Nickelodeon show or something, a Disney show, Nickelodeon show, yeah.
Probably Disney, I think, from what I was seeing on there.
Yeah. So you got like her and Zendaya goes this way, and she goes this way, down the left-hand path.
Okay.
Anyway,
thank you for explaining to me why Twitter.
Yeah, thanks for knowing who Bella fucking Thorne is.
Yeah.
I follow her.
Which, for the record, you can tell this is how you know that we're out of news to cover right now, and we're running out of things to talk about on the episode.
It was about Bella Thorne on a horror.
For 10 minutes, yeah.
A horror podcast.
Don't look Bella Thorne up. Just save your Google, save your time.
Yeah, don't waste your time with that.
I bet you 90% of the people watching this knows who she is anyway, though.
No, they don't.
That's nice. I guess that's nice.
No, they don't. Shut up, Chuck.
Comment below and tell us if you know who Bella Thorne is. What kind of shirt are you wearing there, Beard?
Well, Beard's got a Hatebreed shirt.
Okay, when you first been over, I just saw the stars, so it looked like some kind of weird Kamala style shirt. Like Kamala had the The stars on his chest.
Nope, there's be maces.
Okay.
Left turn.
All right. That concludes this episode.
That does conclude this episode.
Yes, it does.
So yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Tell Chuck to shut up on Twitter. Use that hashtag. Please use the hashtag. Just do it. Make me happy.
Keep talking, Chuck. Keep talking.
Like, share, subscribe, all that shit. And we're going to get recording another episode. See you next week.
Bye, movie.
Bye, Screwdriver. So he stops fucking talking about it.
So he buy it so he don't have to.
Or that.